Paul, you are cheering the Fed's move to cut rates to zero. I'm also wondering, though, is the market, you think, correctly pricing in the domino effects of so much of business, of small business, being effectively shut down for several weeks, and the businesses that might go out of business, the employment challenges that many of the American consumers might face?
I think the Fed categorically did the right thing. They threw a mosaic of everything they had at the immediate moment. So you get zero criticism of the Fed, but the equity market is actually discounting the uncertainty, though they know the direction on the real economy. So I don't think there's any sort of indictment from the equity market of what the Fed did. The equity market is looking at the real world, and the real world is going to require a lot bigger response than just the Fed doing everything they can. It's going to take a fiscal policy response to literally get money in people's pockets. That is the bottom line. The Fed can get money into Wall Street's plumbing system, and they're doing it with alacrity. But the bottom line is we need to get money, hard, cold money, in real Americans' pocket, particularly the most vulnerable amongst us.
Absolutely, Paul, and that's what I'm wondering about the consumer, which has been so important to this economy, certainly to these markets. Where the markets are right now, is that kind of helicopter money being priced in, or is this pessimism or fear about the uncertainty on whether that kind of fiscal response is coming?
It's interesting you mentioned helicopter money, because what the Fed did yesterday wasn't helicopter money. It was conventional monetary ease down to zero, plus a huge amount of QE to try to restore functioning in the marketplace. But it was not helicopter money. Helicopter money would be essentially granting Treasury overdraft privileges on its account at the Fed. Was effectively a Treasury could use printed money and get it to the people. So we're one step away, I think, from helicopter money. The Fed can't do that itself. It would require an act of Congress. And in fact, as a citizen and as an economist, I would be in favor of that. But I really want to stress that there's a huge difference between QE, which is dealing with liquidity and market functioning, and helicopter money, which is essentially the fiscal authority telling the Fed that send out checks and we'll run an overdraft on our Fed account.
Yeah, I mean, key point right there. I just want to dig into this a little bit further, though, because the tools that we've seen the Fed basically unleash in this unprecedented manner in terms of timing so much over such a short period of time really in some ways harkens back to 2008. These are the tools that were used for a bank solvency crisis. Are they actually, do we know that they're going to be effective tools for what is a pandemic and what is right now a liquidity panic?
The Fed can do a lot of things on liquidity. In fact, the next one they need to do is to do a commercial paper funding facility like they did a dozen years ago, which I was involved with, which actually restored functioning in that market. And that is a connectivity to the real economy, because you have companies that have to continually roll over their commercial paper, and their natural buyer, particularly money market funds, are not buying longer dated commercial paper. So we need a buyer of last resort for commercial paper, and I think that will happen probably within the next 24 hours, hopefully. So the Fed can do that from the standpoint of keeping companies that issue commercial paper from facing a liquidity crisis. But fundamentally, it is now all over to the fiscal authority and Congress essentially taking the lead in getting money into people's pockets, and if necessary, and I think it is, changing the law so as that the fiscal authority can direct the monetary authority essentially to grant the fiscal authority a overdraft privilege.
Yeah, Paul, that's what I want to ask you about in terms of the political realities of that actually happening. What kind of odds do you give it? And to what degree do we need to hear Powell, even academically, bless sort of the Rosengren school of thought that we heard last week or the week before?
I think Mr. Powell is doing a fantastic job, so I'll be the last person to criticize him. What he did yesterday and what he's done in recent weeks has been superb, and I certainly think that he is encouraging the fiscal authority to step up to the plate big time, and I think he will be cooperative to the max. But I think also appropriately, he doesn't want to take the political lead in telling Congress what to do. He's just basically saying, you have scope to do what needs to be done, and damn it, get it done.